Chapter 10, The Opulence of the Absolute, Text 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya eva mahabhaho Shrinu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjun, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." He's already explained a lot. What could be better than what he has said so far? But Anandi says she's read this chapter every day for a month. How recent was that? Was that last year, the year before?
Last year, Kartik.
Okay. So are there things in this chapter that are better than what's been said already? Do you have any insight to that?
Well, for me, it's my favorite because he says, because of all the things he describes, when he says of mountains, I'm the Himalayas, of aquatic creatures, I'm the shark, of Rudras, I am Shiva. I love that. I love what he says. And that's how I conceive of Krishna. That he's not only a person, but he's all this other things that he describes. And it makes it more real for me.
To me, it seems so similar to what's gone on in chapter 7, how Krishna compares himself to so many things in our experience. But there is a difference in these comparisons. Last time we read through this, Eric said, in this chapter, Krishna is stating how he is the superlative of so many categories.
Right, of the alphabet, I'm the letter A. I love that.
And in chapter 7, he was talking about how he's the essence of everything.
Maybe I'll read chapter 7, Kartik, this year.
That would be
it's
good.
Just when you read something over and over again, it becomes very, I don't know, gets close to your heart.
Yeah. Chapter 7 is worth memorizing. Just about every single verse in there, Prabhupada quotes frequently.
Okay.
So you'll become familiar. You could learn a few of the Sanskrit verses, and then you'll get really familiar with that, especially if you're reading it every day. All right, so he's going to tell us something even better than what's been said in the last 9 chapters. So Isaac, go ahead.
Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages.
And Anandi?
He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only, undiluted among men, is freed from all sin.
I noticed a little pattern here in this beginning part. He talks about something, saying how great he is. And then he says, people that understand this, they get something from it. First one he says is, one who knows this about me is freed from all sins. So Trevor, read text 4.
Okay. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, nonviolence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone.
One of these days we'll read this whole purport. He talks about all of these qualities and Says some interesting things about them. So all of these things come from Krishna, and a lot of them are opposites. How many opposites do you see in there, Trevor? Or just mention them as you see them.
Fear, fearlessness, fame, infamy, happiness and distress. So 3 or 4, 5.
Yeah, birth and death.
Birth and death.
Delusion and truthfulness.
Truthfulness, forgiveness, truthfulness. Oh, delusion. Yeah.
Delusion. Delusion. Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, that is freedom from doubt and delusion.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I remember we got caught up on that last time.
Right.
Freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses. So all of these things come from Krishna. So when we see them, we could say, that's Krishna. Just like that meme I saw, looks like a little Buddhist kid, and he's just going, have you seen that? So every time we see fame or infamy, birth or death, knowledge, intelligence, it could be that, like, that's Krishna. Yeah, more ways to see him. Satisfaction. Wow. Where can you not see Krishna when you got a list like this? I know Trevor sees Krishna everywhere. He keeps sending me all of these songs. And he says, this guy's singing about, I don't know, whatever, it could be anything, a nail gun or a dog. And it's just so obvious he's talking about Krishna. And then he'll open it up for me and like, okay, yeah, all right, I get it. So text number 6, the 7 great sages, and before them, the 4 other great sages and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Isaac.
One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt.
All right, see, there's that pattern coming out again. I'm really great. I'm doing all this stuff. All these things are coming from me. The 7 great sages come from me. The 4 other great sages before them. And from them, all living beings populating the various planets descend from them. So everybody's coming from me. And one who is factually convinced engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt. And now we're getting into the 4 main shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. So text number 8, Anandi.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
So there he said everything in one verse. Everything, I'm the source of everything. Those who know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Bhava samanvita, with great attention, and bhava also means with affection. Are you hearing those noises? Is that coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to stop that. So Trevor, read the next verse.
The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Thoughts of my, okay. Read the next one, Isaac.
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
Okay, I gotta open up. Okay, now I'm back in. Yeah, that's a big one. Text 10. A few of us memorized it. Were you there with us, Trevor?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe let me look.
Hisham satata yuktanam majitam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Matthew learned it.
I remember.
Okay. Hisham, those people, satata yuktanam, who are always engaged in bhajatam, they're engaged in bhajan, priti purvakam, in loving ecstasy. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, I give, dadami means I give, buddhi, the intelligence, yogam, by which they can connect with me. Yena mam upayanti se, by which they can, upayanti, they can come to me. And then text 11, let's see, Isaac.
To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Let's read this purport. Anandi?
I just need a minute. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares, how do you say that? Promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist.
Trevor?
Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact.
There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. Isaac?
So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness.
The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God, as stated in this verse.
The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he's not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth.
Only by devotional service is the supreme truth Krishna pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart. And with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated.
This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge.
Suprita,
The ultimate,
in chapter 10, we're reading the purport to text 11. We're almost finished. Okay, go ahead, Anandi. Sorry.
the ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee.
This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service.
As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. So maybe this is the highest thing, because the thing that he has not said yet in the Bhagavad Gita. Because that first verse he said, I'm going to say things even better than what's been said before. Has he said anything like that so far, that he's going to help the devotees that approach him with devotion? Has that come across yet in Bhagavad Gita? We have our panel of experts here. Everyone's thinking deeply, scratching their heads, drinking their tea, whittling their pens. I need to learn how to do that. Okay, I'll vote for that. This is the, let's see, let's go back to that first verse. Listen again, O mighty armed Arjun, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Hikta kamyaya, for your benefit. So let's go back to those 4 verses again, starting with text 8. And who was the last to read?
You, Mitra.
Oh, okay. Suprita, you take a turn. Read text 8, and you'll be after Trevor. Oh, you're in the middle of something. You all right?
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
I'm looking at the purport, and it looks really technical. Let's read the first few sentences. Go ahead, Isaac.
A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and who knows how to apply these teachings, can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be
deviated. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Anandi.
He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. All Vedic literatures agree that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods.
Okay, so that's what all these references are about. And the verse is saying, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Even Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. Was that one really long sentence, Isaac?
Yeah,
Oh,
Sorry, Isaac. Sorry.
it's okay.
we both ganged up on him.
I'm sorry.
We're going to have to atone for our sin, and the
No.
atonement is the
You
atonement
read the, you
is
read the
No.
Bhagavad Gita. It's our harsh austerity.
sentence.
Let's read that again. Go ahead, Isaac. We'll let you. That'll be our atonement to let you your 2 sentences again. 'Cause I need to hear it again
From the start.
from the start.
All right. A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya and who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord.
Go ahead.
He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools.
Okay, I got a lot more from it the second time through. And let's see, all Vedic literatures agree that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and other demigods. In the Atharva Veda, Gopal Tapani Upanishad, it is said, and there's all these quotes saying, yeah, everybody comes from Krishna. He's talking about Indra, from Narayan, the 8 Vasus are born, the 11 Rudras are born. From Narayan, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayan is an expansion of Krishna. Okay. And let's read the last paragraph. Lord Krishna is the source of all generations. Go ahead, Anandi.
Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he's called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Is that a comma or? I think that's the end of the sentence, right?
Yeah, the original source of all. Trevor?
Everything is under me. No one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna.
One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with references from Vedic literature engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools.
Isaac?
Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretation on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness.
Okay. Prabhupada speaking boldly. He's not holding anything back. Whoever disagrees, he calls him a fool. What else did he say? Nonsensical commentaries. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. Okay, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise, who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So there's kind of something going on here. I just noticed those who are wise, those who are in the know, they worship Krishna. And then by worshiping Krishna, then Krishna gives intelligence to understand him. So it's kind of like you learn a little bit about Krishna and you say, wow, that's really cool. That's who I want to worship. And then Krishna says, okay, you're worshiping me here. I'm going to let you have everything about me. And so the next verse, let's see, Isaac read, is that right? So
Yeah, I
Anandi,
read last. Yeah.
read text 9, Anandi. This is what these devotees do.
The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Okay, the last line of the Sanskrit is Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Tushyanti, they become pleased, cha also, ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss also, by katayantaschamam nityam, by always talking about me. Okay, so we're going to read this purport. Go ahead, Trevor.
9?
Yeah.
Okay. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna.
Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically.
Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees.
We're in practice for getting to that stage. We'll put a little time into it every day. But these are people that they just can't stop doing that. They're always talking about Krishna. We read about Lord Chaitanya traveling in his South Indian tour, and a few times it said when he met somebody, he met a devotee that was like kind of in the same realm as him, had the same understanding. And just by meeting that devotee, they embraced each other and they started crying and they fainted. Because they were like, this is just so wonderful. I get a chance to talk about Krishna with someone. And so a little bit of their conversation was recorded in the book, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, so that's where we're headed. We're practicing now. And by talking, you get a chance to, what do you call that? Create neural pathways in your mind. The more, like you read something and then you just throw it back, you talk about what you just read. That creates a much deeper impression in the mind. So that's why I'm always asking you guys, so what'd you see in there? What'd you get? And even if I don't ask, just bring up something that you saw. Okay, whose turn is it?
Might be my turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode.
Okay, that's sort of what I was just talking about. We are in practice. And so we set some, what's the word, like a schedule, like we chant a certain number of rounds on our beads. And we try to spend a certain amount of time talking about Krishna. We have to push ourselves to do it. In the preliminary stage, they relish the pleasure from the service itself. So just by doing this, but as once situated in the transcendental position, they relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. So we actually get a connection to Krishna. Okay, go ahead. Trevor.
Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe. And out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service.
This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material sky, the material universe, and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky.
In the spiritual sky, also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there.
Gradually, as the plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19.
It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord.
The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees. As stated in the Bhagavatam itself, 12, 13, 18. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam.
In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described.
Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literature, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association.
All right. How did you like that comparison, Anandi, to the planting a seed and tending to a plant?
Yeah, that's my jam. That's my jam.
That's what you do all day long. That's your job.
Yes. But is this what they refer to as Bhakti Lata what do you say? Bhakti Lata Beach?
Yes.
Yes.
So a lata is like a vine.
Right.
As Prabhupada calls a creeper. I don't think Americans use that word creeper.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me, my South African
Yeah,
roots.
it's a British kind of a word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the watering process is in the form of hearing and chanting. The plant of devotional service, the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. One becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. So it becomes like a driving force, more than something that we push ourselves to do. It becomes something essential for us. And we take pleasure in it. In the last sentence, it says, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association. So, yeah, when we're young and that happens, the world just seems so great to find a young girl who's interested in me, and life seems so interesting. And all you can do is think about her. So, yeah, there's a lot packed in that last sentence. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association. Okay, text 10.
Whose turn is it?
Who finished off the...
Yes.
Isaac did? Okay, Anandi, your turn.
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
And the purport.
Oh, I'll read the first line. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjuna, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga.
Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence.
Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga.
In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna.
People do not know this, therefore the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved.
When a person knows the goal of life, but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he's acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga.
This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But still, if he is not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty.
The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna conscious and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love.
If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain him.
Qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. Prabhupada was giving a lecture on this verse, or perhaps it was he just referred to the verse, and in there he said, you have to do it pre-dipurvakam, with love and devotion. Not that, and then he imitated somebody saying, they told me to do this, so now I'm doing it, and now I'm chanting. And Prabhupada imitated a person chanting Hare Krishna, just like without any interest. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But he said, no, You don't do it like that. You have to do it. And then when he said the word love, it's like his voice broke. Like he really put love into that. You have to do it with love, with loving feelings for Krishna. So, bhajatam priti purvakam. You should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately to attain him. All right, text 11, let's just read the verse because we've already read that purport. Oh yeah, Trevor, your turn.
Okay. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Okay, so Krishna destroys ignorance in a heart. And the next verse, Suprita, we'll see how Arjuna accepts all of this.
Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me."
So Prabhupada refers to this book, this verse frequently. He says, this is how Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita. So if someone reads Bhagavad Gita and they get a different conclusion, then Prabhupada would say, what did he say? He called him a fool. And what did he say about a nonsense commentary? So was that the word he used? A nonsense commentary?
Nonsensical, I think he said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So those are the nonsensical commentaries that he's referring to. Because here it's real clear. Arjuna is the first student of Bhagavad Gita, and this is his response. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. And then he says, it's not just my idea. Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve. All of the rishis are saying this about you. Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve. Devarshi Naradastata. Narada Rishi says that. Asita, Devala, Vyasadev. And now, Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. Swayam, you yourself are saying this. And so here's that theme again. Krishna says something about himself, and then he says, people that understand this, this is what they do. They love me. He said it like 3 times already up to this point. And then Arjuna gets it, and he says the same thing. Arjuna does the same thing. He says, you are the Supreme Lord. And then he's going to say, now, I want to hear more about you. Tell me more about yourself. Okay, next verse.
O Krishna, I totally accept truth as all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality.
Next verse.
Indeed, you alone know yourself in your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe.
Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds.
O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead?
O Janardhan, Again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Let's read this purport.
A similar statement was made to Sutta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisharanya. Indeed, by Samaka, that statement is, one can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the description of the pastimes of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:119.
Thus, Arjuna is interested in hearing about Krishna, and specifically how he remains as the all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amritam nectar is concerned, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar.
And this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fiction, and histories are different from the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, in that one will tire of hearing mundane stories, but one never tires of hearing about Krishna.
It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is replete with references to the pastimes of the incarnations of Godhead. The Puranas are histories of bygone ages that relate the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord.
In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh, despite repeated readings.
Anandi, read the translation again to 18.
Sorry, I just have to get there. O Janardana, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Okay, and now Krishna is going to answer that in the rest of the chapter. It goes up to, how many, 42 verses. Yeah. Krishna's got plenty to say about himself. There was a time Prabhupada was giving a lecture, and then he opened it up for questions. It was in a big hall, and somebody, I think it was in Scotland, Edinburgh, and somehow a great big crowd came, and these are all brand new people, and this one guy from the back said, yeah, I got something to say. I am God. I am creating everything. I am doing everything. And Prabhupada said, come up here. So this guy walked all the way up to be right in front of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada handed him the microphone. You're God? Tell us about yourself. So the guy went on for like not even a full minute talking about how he's God. And then he stopped talking. And then Prabhupada took the microphone and he said, is that all? And the guy was like real nervous. The whole audience was like, what's going to happen here? And then Prabhupada said, just very calmly, you are not God. You are dog. And the whole audience cheered. And that guy had to walk all the way back through the aisle, back to his seat. You know, he walked by, all those people were just cheering and pointing at him and like, you are dog. So here's the difference when Krishna is going to say, yes, I am God. He's got plenty to say. So here we go. Text 19.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless.
I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings.
We can't hear you, Isaac. What happened? Oh, man. Okay, we'll work on it. Oh, I heard a noise. Was that you? No. Okay, work on it. We need to get you in here. Oh, go ahead, Anandi.
Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon.
Of the Vedas, I am the Sama Veda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness.
Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vastus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru.
Hey, what can you guys remember from what we just read? Anybody remember anything?
Yeah. Of demigods, he is Indra. Of all the body parts, he's the mind.
Mm.
And then I think, yeah.
Of
Okay.
Vedas is the Sama Veda.
Mm-hmm.
It is Vishnu.
Living beings, I am the living force.
Right.
And Isaac, are you still working on that, Isaac? You're still quiet. He is the silence of Isaac.
Isaac is frozen in space.
What did you say?
Isaac is frozen in space.
Ground control to Major Isaac.
Let's see. The first thing Krishna said was, I'm the super soul in the hearts of all living beings. And he's the beginning, the middle, and the end of all things. Alpha and the Omega. Later on, he's going to say he's the first letter of the alphabet, right?
Yep.
Okay. Can't get anywhere in Sanskrit without the, what's it called? Akshara? What is Akshara? That was mentioned.
Letter.
Letter is Akshara?
I thought it was Matrika Shakti. Power of letters.
Oh, that might be there too. Let's see. We'll when we get to that one. Of immovable things. Oh, we haven't read that one yet. Okay, who's next? Anybody?
Isaac.
Oh, he's out teasing him. Come on.
Okay. Are you on text 24?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya. And of bodies of water, I am the ocean.
Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas.
Of all trees, I am the banyan tree. And of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha. And among perfect beings, I am the sage Kapila.
Of horses, know me to be Uchasrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavata, and among men, I am the monarch.
Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Sarabi. Of causes of procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love, and of serpents, I am Vasuki.
Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death.
Okay, let's recap. What do you remember from what we just read?
Nothing.
Is that horse, that elephant, Vasuki?
He's the horse, the elephant, and Vasuki the snake, all involved in that churning of the ocean of nectar.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Kartikeya.
Kartikeya, yeah, the god of war. What was that? He was of generals, I am Kartikeya.
It's also the god of love, right?
Yeah, and he
Okay.
says of causes of procreation, he is Kandarpa, the god of love.
He is lord of death, Yama. He's the of all the weapons, he's thunderbolt. And of all the cows, he's Surabhi.
Surabhi cow, okay. What about the Surabhi cow?
Doesn't she give everything?
Yeah. Where is that verse about the Surabhi cow?
28.
28?
Yeah, 28.
Okay. The thunderbolt, indeed, a mighty weapon, represents Krishna's power. In Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, there are cows which can be milked at any time, and they give as much milk as one likes. Of course, such cows do not exist in this material world, but there is mention of them in Krishna Loka. Krishna keeps many such cows, which are called Surabhi. It is stated that the Lord is engaged in herding the Surabhi cows. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Anandi. 29.
Of the many who did not, didn't we read that? Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I'm Ariana, and among dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death.
Okay. Yeah, we did read that, but
We did.
we just read about how it's always fresh.
Okay, sorry.
So that seemed pretty fresh that time through. Go ahead, Trevor.
Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among subduers, I am Time. Among beasts, I am the lion, and among birds, I am Garuda.
That's the biggest one there, time.
Mm.
Subduers, I am time. It's always going to win.
Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the wielders of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges.
Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. O Arjuna, of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth.
Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma.
Aksharanam akarosmi. So akshara, of letters, akara, the first letter.
Among compound words.
Yeah, he talks about that in the purport. Rama, Krishna is a dual compound. And I don't know what's so special about having a dual compound, but that's Krishna. And I always wondered if a word like motorcycle is a dual compound word.
Has
Because
to be
it's two words, motor, cycle, 2-syllable, Rama, Krishna.
Mitra Sena.
Yeah, sure. Good point, Trevor. Trevor Prabhu. Go ahead. Oh boy. Suprita's got the really powerful one.
I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
And the first line of the Sanskrit, Prabhupada quotes that frequently. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. At death, I take everything away. I am all devouring death. Mrityu sarva haraschaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam. As soon as a man is born, he dies at every moment. Thus, death is devouring every living entity at every moment. But the last stroke is called death itself. That death is Krishna. As for future development, all living entities undergo 6 basic changes. They are born, they grow, they remain for some time, they reproduce, they dwindle, and finally they vanish. Of these changes, the first is deliverance from the womb, and that is Krishna. The first generation is the beginning of all future activities. Might as well read the rest of the purport. Go ahead, whoever. Let's see. I think Suprita read, right? Go ahead, Anandi.
Where are we in the purport?
The
Which
next paragraph, the second paragraph.
Okay. The 7 opulences listed, fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience, are considered feminine. If a person possesses all of them or some of them, he becomes glorious.
If a man is famous as a righteous man, that makes him glorious. Sanskrit is a perfect language and is therefore very glorious.
If after studying one can remember a subject matter, he is gifted with a good memory or smriti, and the ability not only to read many books on different subject matters, but to understand them and apply them when necessary is intelligence, medha, another opulence.
The ability to overcome unsteadiness is called firmness or steadfastness, driti. And when one is fully qualified, yet is humble and gentle, and when one is able to keep his balance, both in sorrow and in the ecstasy of joy, he has the opulence called patience, shama.
Okay. Next verse.
Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am the Brihat Sam, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am the Margashirsa, November, December, and of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring.
I picked the 2 nicest parts of the year.
Yes.
The season of spring and the nicest weather, at least here in North Carolina, is November, December, when it starts cooling down and wow, it just, all the colors are there. So two good times of the year. Poetry, I'm Gayatri. Samaveda, he is the Brihat Sama. seasons I am flower-bearing spring. Okay, go ahead.
I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong.
Let's read the purport.
There are many. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Who are you talking to? I'm sorry.
To you.
All right, I'm sorry. There are many kinds of cheaters all over the universe. Of all cheating processes, gambling stands supreme and therefore represents Krishna. Really? As the supreme, as the supreme, Krishna can be more deceitful than any mere man. If Krishna chooses to deceive a person, no one can surpass him in his deceit. His greatness is not only one-sided, it is all-sided.
Oh boy,
Wow.
how many times did Krishna deceive someone in Mahabharata or in the Bhagavatam? Come on, let's hear some stories. Krishna deceiving someone.
What about when I can't remember who it was, but they were walking down the street naked and he told him to cover himself up because it wasn't decent. And then like later on in the war, that was how the person was defeated.
Yeah, Duryodhan.
Duryodhan, yeah.
He was going to his mother. She said, "I'm going to make you invincible. I will transfer all of my austerities to you. I'm going to take off my blindfold. And just by looking at you, your whole body will become like iron." And so Duryodhan was walking naked, and Krishna he knew about it. And so he just shows up and like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And "I'm going to see my mother." "Well, really?" "Yes, she's going to take off her blindfold." "Well, at least you should wrap something around your waist. And that's only polite." And he said, "Yeah, you're right." So that's how Bhima was able to get him. He smacked him on the thigh. Okay, that was a good one. What else? What other places has he deceived people?
I'm not sure of the name, but is it Muchukunda? The story where Krishna is running away from a demon, and I think Muchukunda would be saying, and then he puts the blanket over him. Is it Muchukunda? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Muchukunda was sleeping, and too bad Muchu is not on the call today. That's his name. And he had gotten a blessing to be able to sleep as long as he wanted. And if anyone woke him up before he was ready, he would burn that person just by looking at them. And so who was chasing Krishna? Kalyavana was chasing him. And so Krishna led him into that cave. Kalyavana came up to the guy laying there, and he thought, Krishna is hiding here in the dark. So he kicks him, and Muchukunda looks up at the guy and at Kalyavana and burns just by looking at him. So yeah, a little sneaky. Krishna pretends to be afraid, even though he's fought with Jarasandha 16 times. Fought with him, captured him, killed his whole army, and he's not afraid, but he's pretending. So yeah, okay, that's a good one. He's deceitful. So if you want to play tricks on Krishna, he's more tricky than anyone. Any other tricky stories? Deceitful.
I have one more.
Okay.
He would steal butter, and then he would say the monkeys did it. He would put the butter on the monkey's mouth.
Yeah, okay. So deceitful. What a rascal. What else? What else? He would lie to his mother about all kinds of things. Um, yeah, he would go to the neighbor's house and pinch their babies to make the babies wake up and start screaming and okay, so many deceitful things. Krishna can be more deceitful than any mere man. If Krishna chooses to deceive a person, no one can surpass him in his deceit. His greatness is not simply one-sided. He is all-sided. So Krishna could be the most cheating, deceitful. He could be like if he was in the mafia or something, he would be the worst.
I have one, Mitchell. What about when someone is challenging Lord Chaitanya and he says that that he's just his spiritual master said that that he should just chant. He's too much of a fool to read the Vedic scriptures or something like that.
Yeah, Lord Chaitanya said, my guru told me not to study the Vedanta because I'm such a fool. I should just chant. So that's what I do. And he was talking to, oh, that was mentioned. He was talking to Prakashananda. We read his name in text 11, I think it was.
Prakashananda Saraswati.
Yes. And Prakashananda asked, why don't you study the Vedanta like all of us other sannyasis? And he said, well, it's because my guru told me I'm just a fool. But actually, yeah, he knew more than anybody. Oh, let's finish off this purport. There's some more really good stuff in there. Among the victorious, he is victory. He is the splendor of the splendid. Trevor, go ahead.
Among the enterprising and industrious, he is the most enterprising, the most industrious. Among adventurers, he is the most adventurous, and among the strong, he is the strongest. When Krishna was present on earth, no one could surpass him in strength.
Even in his childhood, he lifted Govardhana hill. No one can surpass him in cheating. No one can surpass him in splendor. No one can surpass him in victory. No one can surpass him in enterprise. And no one can surpass him in strength.
Okay, that sums it up. Let's get through this chapter. Go ahead. Anandi, it's your turn.
Is it text 38?
37.
Oh. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa, and among great thinkers, I am Usana.
Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. And of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence. And of the wise, I am wisdom.
Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me.
O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences.
Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor.
But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe.
Chapter 10, Ki Jai. Krishna, the most enterprising, the most, what else? Deceitful,
Industrious,
industrious,
strongest.
strongest. Yeah, he lifted Govardhan Hill. What else was on that list?
Victorious.
Victorious. Oh, yeah, and adventurous. He
Mm.
was saying, I am adventure, I am victory. That's a fun one. Everybody likes adventure, and Krishna is the most like, James Bond kind of, you watch a James Bond movie. I watched one once, and I was thinking, that's sort of like what Krishna is like. He's gonna have the best. He's gonna have the best car. He's gonna drive faster than everybody. He'll put himself in a situation where people are shooting at him, and he jumps over fences and he rescues somebody, and he gets all the money, and but he's not really attached to it. He gets in there and he blocks the bad guys from taking all the money or whatever, and then he has all the money in his hands, and he's living richly, but it's like, he doesn't care. Adventure, industry, enterprise, and then he says, but really, what need is there to explain all of these things? Just a little tiny portion of myself. I pervade and support this entire universe. That's pretty enterprising. All right. I wonder if Krishna could fix Isaac's audio problem. No, not even Krishna can do it.
We might be able to read his lips.